Outrage is growing over a deadly police shooting in Minneapolis early Wednesday morning. We want to warn you, the police body cam footage is graphic and may be difficult to watch.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant! Police
A SWAT team carrying out a no-knock warrant shot and killed Amir Locke. The 22-year-old black man was not the subject of the warrant and, as seen in the video, was asleep under blankets when officers entered. The interim Minneapolis police chief said officers, quote, loudly and repeatedly announced they were there before they went into the apartment, though the video doesn't show that. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison will join in the review of the body cam footage. We're joined now by Newsy Justice correspondent Jamal Andress. Jamal, can you walk us through what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Bianca, before we show the video, I want to mention a couple things. One that you touched on already. First, that Amir Locke was not the subject of that search warrant. And second, this also was an investigation owned by the St. Paul Police Department rather than the Minneapolis Police Department. MPD was sort of carrying out the search warrant, but this was St. Paul's investigation. So as the video starts, to provide a little context, you know, this is 7 a.m. in the morning. We see that these officers have a key. And again, we don't hear them on this video announce themselves before entering the threshold. After they enter the threshold, that's when you start hearing search warrant, MPD repeatedly over and over by these officers. After they get into the building, they actually kick the couch. You'll see them sort of kick the couch once they get in and startle Amir Locke in that situation. And shortly after that is when he sort of emerges from under the covers he was in. The family says he was asleep. This was a friend's house. He was sleeping over there. And then shortly after that, that is when you see the gun emerge. The last thing I want to mention in regards to that firearm is that if you watch it closely, his finger is not actually on the trigger. And I don't say that to say that police officers saw that his finger wasn't on the trigger, but if you watch it closely, his finger was not on the trigger, sort of speaking to potentially his intent with that firearm. As you may have heard by this point, he was licensed to carry that firearm. It was a legally owned weapon. And again, a lot of answers here. We just recently heard from the family of Amir Locke, who spoke about his death during a press conference joined by civil rights attorney Ben Crump. And obviously, they are devastated with this. This all takes place in less than a minute and is reminiscent of so many police shootings that we have seen where officers lean on the fact that this is a split-second decision. And family members point out that it was a split-second situation for this victim as well, Amir Locke, a 22-year-old.
And we know Minneapolis changed their no-knock policy a little over a year ago. What else can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that, Bianca. Look, this is one of the few policy changes that many people agreed on, that we really saw some movement along with no banning chokeholds. This obviously comes from the death of Breonna Taylor, a similar situation where Breonna Taylor is killed in her home during a no-knock warrant in Louisville, Kentucky. Her boyfriend at the time had a gun and essentially didn't know who was at the door and fired at officers. To give you an idea, 17 states enacted legislation, as well as the Department of Justice, to ban no-knock warrants. That includes Minneapolis, which essentially ruled this out in November of 2020, a little over a year ago. And so, again, a long-standing policy at this point for the Minneapolis Police Department surrounding all the unrest we saw in 2020.
Newsy Justice correspondent Jamal Andress, thanks so much for that reporting.